Measuring and managing the value of companies. Measuring and managing the value of companies. So what I'm going to do today is go through 8 places where you can look for value in a business. Now, this isn't my natural home. I have some experience, but I decided to go to people who do this job for a living. And I went to a book, as I often do. And there is a book. If I put it up, it'll just come up backwards, but I will. There it is. It's Valuation, Measuring and Managing the Value of Companies. And it's written by Tim Kohler, Mark Goedhart, and David Wessels, and it's now in its 7th edition. And Tim Kohler is a partner in McKinsey in Stamford. Mark Goedhart is a senior expert in McKinsey in Amsterdam, according to the book. And David Wessels is an adjunct professor at Wharton, and he was also previously with McKinsey. So these are people who work in corporate finance, acquisition, and valuations. So they have, if they're in the 7th edition, obviously a very good reputation for the work that they do. So I have a need for understanding slightly more about this, so I decided to look at their work. They give many different ways in to valuation, so I can't really do them justice for the entirety of their offering. But there was one section that looked at drivers for growth, if you like, drivers for value, and that seemed relevant to me, and I'm going to give it to you in 8 points, and I'm going to give it to you backwards. But first of all, I'd like to give a definition that they use at the front of their book about valuation, and it's basically the purpose is to grow or earn a return on capital that exceeds the cost of capital. So grow as a return on growth, or earn a return on capital that exceeds the cost of capital. And that was articulated in 1890 by Alfred Marshall, and they're still using it. My exposure to this was looking at valuing a market entry project, and we were essentially looking at the net present value of the money that we would get back after putting the money in. So if you like, a more everyday term is the rate of getting more money back than you put in, and the rate of return of getting that more money back than you put in. So they've broken it down into short term, medium term, and long term. And I'm going to start out at the long term, just because it organizes my thinking that way. And in the long term, you're looking at the ability to sustain your core business. So according to Kohler, Godar, and Wessels, you're looking at the ability to sustain your core business in terms of growth, in terms of stakeholder relations, in terms of joint ventures, mergers, and that sort of thing. They start with organization. The last point they make is organizational health. So in the long term, have you got the people, the skills, the culture, and the values and the management talent to sustain you over the long term? So that's number 8. Number 7 is looking at the strategic health of the organization. And this is where I might start, which is looking at the big waves that are coming in society, and we have them at the moment. We have technology big waves, digital. We have biotechnology big waves with COVID. We have cultural and diversity big waves with diversity and inclusion. So these are big waves that are affecting society and will affect all our businesses 10 years from now. 10 years from now, our services might be similar, but the business models could look very, very different. So I find that a very kind of useful place to start myself. That's number 7. Now coming into the medium term, they look at number 6, asset health, the lifetime value of your physical assets, and do they need replacing? And in a consultancy business, you might think, yes, that might be about the talent. In a car business, it might be about the platforms that you're on. In a retail business, it could be about which channels you're using, which assets you have to deliver to your customers. Number 5 is cost structure, what they call cost structure health, which is in relation to your competitors. How does your cost structure stack up? In relation to your competitors, how does your cost structure stack up? Do you have a cost base that is likely to be an impediment going forward, or is it going to be an advantage? Number 4 is commercial health. Can you improve, sustain revenue growth? So with your existing products, with your existing services, with your existing brand, with your existing customer reputation, with your existing supply chain relationships, can you sustain and improve revenue growth? Coming into the short term, they look at 3 things, and I'm going back from 3. Capital productivity measures, which is looking at how well you're managing the working capital in terms of what they call inventories, payables, and receivables. And I will say stock, money in and money out. And how are you managing that? And are you managing it in a way that provides value to you as well as your customers? Number 2 is operating cost and productivity. What are your unit costs? How much these days, how much does it cost you to deliver a package when so much, where the logistics have become, if you like, an elephant in terms of the cost structure for many organizations? So how well are you managing your unit costs? And finally, number 1, they look at sales productivity. Have you got the sales growth? What prices are you selling at? What is your market share? And that sort of thing. So I will go through it in their order now. In the short term, it's number 1, sales productivity. Number 2, operational cost productivity. Number 3, capital productivity measures. Medium term, it's number 4, commercial health. Number 5, cost structure health. Number 6, asset health. And then into the long term, number 7, strategic health. And number 8, organizational health. Now, all of these are areas, if you're looking to create value, are areas that you can put your focus on. And the authors of this information are Tim Kohler, Mark Goedhart, and David Wessels, and they work in corporate finance, acquisitions, and corporate valuations. So their job is to find the value. And I think, to use again a more everyday term, it really is, when you net it all down, what cash do you have? So when you net it all down, what cash are you getting back for the cash, which gets to be called capital, that you've invested?